Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thanks for spending some of your time with us tonight. What's going on, guys?
Let's talk some sports, baby.
This is
A Drink of Wisdom.
Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thanks for spending some of your time with us tonight. As a reminder to those listeners, besides being on all your favorite podcast platforms, A Drink of Wisdom is also on YouTube with each show segment available. Head on over. If you like what you hear, we'd appreciate that subscribe button. What's going on, guys?
What's going on, man? You got the beard. He got the drink. I got the wisdom. Let's do it.
Let's talk some sports, baby.
Let's do just that. In episode 59, we crown our best free agency signings, discuss what NBA team benefits the most from the layoff, and which Super Bowl team from the past decade was the best. So stay tuned to find out those answers. But first, let's start with the quarterbacks that got paid last week. Teddy Bridgewater, Kirk Cousins, Phillip Rivers, and Ryan Tannehill all inked deals at the start of free agency, signing some pretty hefty contracts. Bridgewater and Rivers are with new teams, the Panthers and Colts respectively, while Cousins and Tannehill re-upped with their 2019 teams. So Jay, which of these four guys do you expect to have the most success in 2020?
So first off, just on that note, what we was talking about pre-show about what the question really means, I'm taking success as wins and losses. Because I know Kirk Cousins gonna have a nice season because he always does. You know, he gonna put up some nice numbers. He'll make the fantasy football folks. He'll make them happy. This is probably gonna drive Drink crazy. I'm going with the old man that he thinks should be on the couch with all his kids. I'm going Phillip Rivers. I'm going Phillip Rivers for 1 year for 2020 for $25 million because I'm looking at the rest of these teams and I'm also looking at the AFC South, which is about to be just a complete mess once again. When I think about what Bill O'Brien's engaging in down there in Houston, sending out, no question, a top 3 receiver in DeAndre Hopkins out of there, that's going to hurt the Houston Texans. That's going to hurt Deshaun Watson. And I don't see Houston in the playoffs this year. The Tennessee Titans, they've lost Jack Conklin. They've lost Jarrell Casey. They've lost Logan Ryan, Delaney Walker. And you don't have the insurance policy back there with your backup, Marcus Mariota, or Tannehill was the backup to start last year. But what I'm saying is you no longer have that insurance policy for if Tannehill turns back into the Miami Tannehill and winds up hurt or winds up unproductive. And then the loss of Jack Conklin and Delaney Walker is going to hurt that running game. I really think it's going to hurt. I think it's hard to imagine Derrick Henry replicating the success he had from last year. And then, don't even get us started with Jacksonville. We know how putrid they're going to be. We just don't even understand what they're doing. So with that being said, the AFC South is up for the taking, and I like what I'm seeing from the Indianapolis Colts. And if you give me the choice of all the general managers in that division, I'm taking Chris Ballard. So I'm taking Chris Ballard over Bill O'Brien. I don't even know who the Titans general manager is, to be honest with you. And I'm definitely taking Chris Ballard over Dave Caldwell. I like Frank Reich as well. I think Frank Reich has a great argument being best coach in that division. So I'm taking him. You can have a toss-up between him and Mike Vrabel. The other guys, forget about it. Bill O'Brien got 2 jobs, and he's suffering at both right now. The Colts, look at some of the acquisitions they made. They brought in DeForest Buckner, so they've got a prime-time star on that defensive line. I think the signing of Xavier Rhodes is a big deal. We'll see what he can do for him, but I think he offers a great veteran presence to mix in with all those young guys. So I think that's a big deal. And the Colts, since Chris Ballard has taken over, they can draft. So I expect them to rectify that wide receiver position and get Phillip Rivers some weapons. He's already got Marlon Mack. He's already got a solid running game, and that offensive line is among the best in the NFL. So with all that in mind, Phillip Rivers will have the best 2020 out of all these out of this group of quarterbacks.
Hey man, Those were some nice additions that you added on the defense side of the ball, man. Just nice. Listen, unless you shot put Rivers here, unless this draft is they're gonna get 2 first-round receivers and another tight end and some other greatness. I ain't seeing it. I just don't see it. Look, the dude just showed us in with a team where he had top flight receivers, a good tight end, a good backfield, offensive line left a little to be desired. I give you that, and he couldn't get it done. So all of a sudden, just because Tennessee maybe took a little step back and um, the Texans took a step back, listen, I don't want to. You need to stop it. You need to stop it with
The
old man Rivers.
the
You need
Colts
to
don't
stop
have
it.
to take a big step forward.
Listen, I believe it when I see it. First of all, I think you want to pick this AARP member just to piss me off. That's what I'm feeling right here. This is bull crap, and you know it. This is some straight up bull crap. But listen, let me get
Can't
back
be
to the
that
question.
sold on these other
You're-
guys.
You're not gonna like my answer then, but yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I think I'm about to have heartburn. Listen, I'm gonna go with one. I'm gonna go with one Teddy Bridgewater. And here's the deal. I know, yes, he is coming into a division that's getting tough about a minute. He got to go through Drew Brees. He got to go through Tom Brady. And he got to go through Matt Ryan. I got that. But here's what I do know about Teddy Bridgewater. You give him talent, he gonna give you results. We seen that with the Saints. He had talent, he got results. We seen that with Minnesota. He had talent, he got results. So it leads me to believe you give him something, he's gonna get results. By the way, he's the young guy of this group. When you look at the other 3 quarterbacks in that division, he is the young guy. He's also getting locked up with a young offensive coordinator and a young head coach for that fact of the matter. I was telling Jay this before the show. Listen, I think the element of surprise is gonna be on Teddy Bridgewater's side. My boy Teddy Two Gloves. That's what they call him in the streets. I think the element of surprise will be on his side because, like I said, you have these 3 relatively. Well, Bridgewater. Let me backtrack. I wouldn't say relatively unknown for Bridgewater, but Joe Brady, Matt Rule, relatively unknown on the NFL level. You match them up with this young gun, Teddy Bridgewater, and I think that's going to be a lot for success. I understand. Now, Carolina defense did take a step back, but they're not dead in the water. It's kind of like the whole analogy with the Colts. The Colts don't have to be much better to win that division. I agree with that. But I'm telling you, I think Phillip Rivers just ran off with the money. I think he took the bag. He just stole the church money. He ain't coming back. And I can't wait till he proves me right. Anyway, Teddy Bridgewater, he gonna come in here, and the reason I feel that way, I look at it kind of like the whole Kellen Moore situation with Dallas. I think at one point he had caught some people by surprise. Dak Prescott. I mean, teams wasn't all that good. However, we still seen that product, and we thought to ourselves, hey, that looked pretty good. That looked a lot better than we thought he was going to look. Then he actually played some competition, played some veteran defense coordinators, and they put it on him. But the element of surprise could still be on his side because just as well as we will talk about Teddy Bridgewater coming into a new situation, Tom Brady is also coming into a new situation. Yes, you got Matt Ryan coming back, but we still got questions about that offensive line. So will he be able to get the ball out and, get the ball out with Ty Gurley be able to get enough yards on the ground to alleviate pressure off Matt Ryan? We still need to see that. And the Saints, listen, the Saints are the Saints. I mean, it's levels to this. So the Saints going to be doing their thing. We should, it should be significant between them and the rest of the division. But for this question, I'm going with my boy, Teddy Two Gloves, and you know what it is.
Yeah, I guess I kind of agree with both y'all in different ways. I think from a statistics perspective, it is going to be Bridgewater if that's how you're going to measure your success, just by the numbers. You look at what he did at his time in New Orleans. If you extrapolated roughly what he did for those 5 games to a 16-game season, he would have been 6th in the NFL in completion percentage, tied for 5th in touchdowns, and he would be 6th in total yards. That puts him in Watson, Wilson, Breeze territory, right? Now, obviously, that's just taking 5 games, and we're running with that. But hey,
and what he did with Minnesota, because I give him credit for what he did in Minnesota as well before he got hurt.
right. So I mean, he's won wherever he's won. I mean, there is a chance he could win, but the Carolina team doesn't look like they're going to be very good. He is going to have weapons. He's not going to have Michael Thomas, say, but you talk about DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. That's a great wide receiver combo, and then you still have Christian McCaffrey. You've got a lot of weapons on offense to play with. The line's not great, not terrible. It's probably somewhere in the middle, you'd imagine. But they're going to lack a defense. You got dudes leaving left and right, Kuechly, Reed, Mario Addison. There's guys at every level that have departed, and you have a whole new system being implemented. And, by the way, that defense has to play Breeze, Brady, and Matt Ryan for their 6 games a year. So good luck with that. So that defense is going to get lit up, and Bridgewater is going to have to go score a lot to keep up with this. So I think you're going to see a little bit of that, like Jameis Winston hero ball stuff. So statistically, I think he'll have the best season. But if you're talking about wins and losses, man, I got to agree with Jay. I got to go with Phillip Rivers. And it's not so much that I have faith in him. It really isn't. But the Colts are pretty good. I mean, the Colts are pretty good, and the AFC South is bad. The Jaguars are a joke. The Texans are just losing their minds, and come on, we just can't think the Titans are going to be as good, right? Like, I don't see it.
When we say the Colts are pretty good, what metric are we using with pretty good? What are we talking about here? Playoff good, division winning good.
They were 7-9 with Jacoby Brissett, right? I mean, I've got to think.
And we all agree, I think we all can agree, if Andrew Luck doesn't surprise us all and retire, they win that division by a landslide.
Yeah, but okay, if he had a play, but Andrew Luck is in the distance. So last year they were 7-9. What was they the year before? So when we say they're pretty good, we're like, what are we talking about here?
I'm comfortable right now, even before the draft, saying the Colts will win the AFC South.
That's where I am too. What I like about the Colts is you've got some nice players on offense. You still have T.Y. Hilton, you have Marlon Mack and Naheem Hines, that nice running back combo already set. Yeah, you're missing a second wide receiver. No argument there. Tight ends a little sparse too, but that defense has great young talent at every level. But the best thing about the Colts is the offensive line. It starts right there. He's going to have probably one of the best offensive lines in football, top 3. I mean, easy. I mean, maybe you could even argue higher. And I think if you give him enough of an offensive line and a few weapons to work with, along with a very talented young defense and a team that knows how to draft now, that has a much better GM in place than they did, and they're coached well, the bar for Phillip Rivers personally, his ability to succeed, it's not much. There's not much of a bar. He doesn't have to go out there and do much besides do smart veteran quarterback stuff. And I think he has the capability to do that. So that's really why I'm so sold. And again, it's just also because if we're talking about wins and losses, you get to play the Titans, Jags, and Texans twice a year. I mean, you're going to win 4 of those games. I mean, you should. Maybe you won't.
I think they win 5 of them. I really do.
Yeah.
But that goes back to the question how you look at it. I look at, when I think about success, I'm thinking about wins and losses. But if you're talking about from a pure numbers standpoint and putting up pass yards and throwing touchdowns, Teddy Bridgewater, I think he'll have a great year. I am concerned about that defense. I think they've lost a lot of juice on it the last couple of years. You can throw Gerald McCoy and Thomas Davis from a couple of years ago. I think they're still reeling a little bit from that loss. And that division, when you add in Tom Brady and what we expect out of the Bucs, that's going to be a lot to ask for Teddy Bridgewater to outscore Drew Brees and Tom Brady, because I do think he'll have to outscore him, because I think they will struggle defensively. And I said it at the jump, Kirk Cousins going to put up numbers. But I don't see the Panthers, Titans, and Vikings. I don't see them. They're not winning their divisions.
Right. So I just and that's why I picked Bridgewater for the pure statistics, because again, he's got to go out and scoring all the time because he's always going to be behind with that division. And as far as wins and losses, man, like I said, I got to go with Rivers. That's just I don't like it. Trust me, I don't like it. But if I'm just going with if I'm going with the brain, I have a hard time thinking that he's not going to have some pretty decent success with that team. I just can't see a 7-9 team adding him and adding guys like DeForest Buckner and going backwards. By
the way, just another note on Kirk Cousins, because we talk about how he's one of those guys that definitely needs that support. And Dalvin Cook, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, great supporting cast on offense, great weapons. where you don't have Stephon Diggs last year, and you're not going to be propped up as much by a defense that has lost Everson Griffin, Xavier Rose, Trey Waynes, and Linval Joseph, and Mackenzie Alexander. So you've lost 3 of your top corners. The Vikings could struggle a bit this year.